I knew it was real because the more that I learned and the more that I read and the more that I followed Jesus, the more I could see that the promises that were made were kept and came true. And I could see myself changing. Before I became a Christian, I was so convinced that I didn't want to be a parent and that marriage was a sham and I didn't want anything to do with that, that I'd actually had a vasectomy. And since becoming a Christian, I'm now a father and a husband. And I just can't tell you how much my life has changed in the 5 years since I come to know Jesus. Hi, I'm Jim. Been going to the Mount for 6-7 months, I suppose, something like that. English, but only been back in the country since February last year. Been overseas for a big chunk of my life. I wasn't born a Christian. I was born into an atheist family, and actually my first memory of anything to do with Christianity was at preschool. And my preschool teacher started talking about biblical stories, and I think started with Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, and that kind of stuff. And I remember going home and talking to my parents about it and saying, this is what we talked about in preschool today, and kind of what was that all about. And I remember my parents said to me that in the old days, before we had science and before we had a lot of knowledge that we have now, people had a lot of questions and someone needed to come up with some answers for them so that they could just kind of stop worrying about it and get on with their lives, and that's what the Bible was. And so on that day I thought, well, there's no point wasting my time with that then, because we've already got proper answers now. And so from then forward, whenever my preschool teacher would talk about the biblical stories, I'd just go and hide in the book corner and read comics. I never considered Christianity or the Bible or took any of that seriously at all until 5 years ago. I was 40. A bit of a weird story leading up to it. I think, I lived a very kind of independent, little bit hedonistic kind of lifestyle. I did exactly what I wanted when I wanted. I was very indulgent with food, alcohol, drugs, relationships, just anything that I could find to kind of entertain myself and, in my eyes, enjoy life and live life to the fullest. I did, and I really thought I had everything figured out, and I thought I knew how the world worked, and I thought I knew how people thought, and I just was a bit arrogant, I think, actually. And several things happened in the world that really shook my confidence in the way I thought things were, So there was obviously a lot of political upheaval in our world in the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and I don't know, I just started to realise that there were millions of people out there who saw things differently to me. And so I guess I kind of started questioning a lot of things, and looking back on it now, I can see that actually it was God leading me gently and patiently to the truth. Eventually started watching a series of lectures about the Old Testament that weren't even delivered by a Christian, but just talking about the significance of the Bible and how important it was, and how much truth there is in there, regardless of whether you're religious or not, and how much of an impact that book had on our society. And so I watched this crazy series of lectures, and just kind of got left with a load of questions, and I could see that there was something there that had imprinted on everything in our world, and I started, just going to churches and things, and meeting Christians, and I was really lucky and blessed. There were a load of very mature Christian people, men in particular, who kind of took me under their wing and were patient with me and answered all of my questions and dealt with my severe cynicism. And eventually I just realised that this was the truth, and I found faith in Jesus, something that I could see that our world so desperately needs, and that we're missing, and that I was missing, and it's really changed me, and for the better. And I'm a kinder, more patient, more humble person today than I ever was. So I said, that I was told many years ago, more than I care to admit now, that that science had all the answers, and that as modern evolved humans, that we don't need the Bible anymore, and so I had a lot of kind of resistance to it, and I had a lot of suspicion and kind of cynicism around it, and so reading the Bible was hard for me, and it still is. And there were a lot of aspects of it that I struggled with and still do. There's some teachings of Jesus that are really challenging and really tough, but I just find it so rewarding to try